podcast dedicated to spreading awareness in India as well as to the globe. So we have with us Dr. Yusuf Hashmi and we have with us Mohit Paleti. Today we're going to get deeper into what's happening in 2025. And as we go on, we also in the end have a special session that we'll ask our beloved speakers about their journeys. So please wait till the end, wait to hear how Dr. Yusuf Hashmi became Dr. and how Mohit Paleti became Mohit Paleti. So we'll ask them to give to our audience some stories, some learnings, some do's, some not to do's, and that's how we will proceed today. My name is Akarsh Singh. I am your host and I'm Chief Privacy Officer at Tsaaro Consulting. My work has been dedicated for the last 8 years in privacy. Let's start with Dr. Yusuf Hashmi. I think there's a very difficult to introduce such a big name, lot of certifications, lot of knowledge, lot of experience here. But I'll just try to do justice to that. He's a cybersecurity evangelist. He leads security initiatives. He has been the face of cybersecurity in India, and that's where Dr. Yusuf Hashmi is with us today. We have Mohit Paleti. Mohit Paleti leads privacy initiatives across India. What he's been doing is he's been working since last 10 odd years. I know him from last 3 odd years. From last 10 odd years, he has been working on privacy. One of the tech privacy guys that I meet, talk, and would love to hear more about him. So as we get into topics, I think let's start by some thoughts first, and then let's get into our discussion. What is privacy to you, sir? What do you think, like personally, because end of the day we are human rights and we have something called human rights. So how do you see privacy? What's your specs that you see privacy in?
I believe privacy is something that is your own self itself, is me as Yusuf, which means that I have to ensure my privacy, right? It's my individuality, right? It's something that I get identified by my name, my email. So this is something which is very personal to me, which means that I have my rights to go out or talk to people. So I'm identified, and this is something, one of the key attributes where you get identified is your privacy attributes, right? So that's how, if you remove privacy attributes, you're nowhere actually, to be honest.
Mohit?
When I started off my career in privacy, somebody was explaining, privacy was very new 7-8 years ago. Somebody was explaining in a very layman language what is privacy. While you're looking at your phone, you don't allow the other people to shoulder yourself because that's your personal space, that's your privacy, right? And from there, I think we have to learn how we protect, as Dr. Yusuf correctly mentioned. It's our private space, it's our area. How we protect it is on us.
So moving on and thinking about today's today's thoughts, right?
Yeah.
Moving to now, what did you see in 2024? And when you map it with AI, there's so much tech advancement that we see. How do you see 2025? What is it that we should keep in mind now, and we should be careful about as regulators, as people who are implementing, as we all are fighting for our organizations, making sure they're compliant and they're safe? What should be the top things that should come to our minds?
I think 2025 would be a most critical, you can say, age for India, especially from privacy perspective, because India would be joining hand with other countries which they have already started their journey way back in 2016, which was GDPR. We have PIPEDA, you have Quebec laws, you have federal laws, you have CCPA. I think they already started their journey. I think this year would mark a great kickstart towards this regime. That is something that is very exciting for privacy professionals as well as the people around in India. I think that's something really excites for me, it really excites me that something is going to happen new in this area, which is going to create a tremendous amount of buzz. I think that's something I'm waiting for this year to come and see that what it takes for me to actually adopt or be working in an environment where actually there's one area that I'm not been focused for years and years and years. Now this is all of a sudden what's going to happen in this area. So that's going to create a lot of buzz.
Yeah, Mohit, what do you think about privacy issues, right? If you focus on, and you, since you're also focused in Europe, and you've been working a lot with European laws, APAC laws, as well as the British laws, what comes to your mind when you think about top trends that would affect, and we should keep in mind?
Let's address the elephant in the room. AI is the big thing that's happened in 2024 and will happen in 2025. With the bill, getting implemented and everybody to adhere to it. Again, very much focused on technology. How as implementers and safeguarding individuals' information, how we as individuals make sure all these technologies work and we work along with them. It's not blocking AI. In some industries, we have to. There's no other option because AI is learning on itself, and I'm sure Dr. Yusuf will have different views from me, from the industry that he comes from. But yes, how we are focusing 2025 is how we can work along with AI. At the end of the day, everybody wants to run a business, and how privacy becomes an enabler than a blocker in the industry. That's how I'm seeing 2025 to come through.
And when you look at, see, the thing is, we generally think about two things. We think about data breach, and we think about unlawful data processing, right?
Yeah.
So both the things are very different, because when you come from a cyber mindset, then you want to safeguard your overall thought process. And as you mentioned, that when you put AI to safety, it works really well, right? We are seeing that advancement.
Yeah.
But when you look at unlawful data processing, which you just covered, saying, hey, are we the blockers? Which means that did we take consent? Is the processing lawful? How do you see a difference in your probably organization? I'm not commenting directly, but in the industry, while you are talking to so many people, how do you see this taking a shape in terms of are we the blockers?
Mm-hmm.
Are we the enablers? And if we are the blockers, in some points we are, what should we do, we in our industry, to look more like enablers and make it easy for others to work with us?
Yeah, I think there's a cultural shift which is expected in this privacy regime, right? Wherein earlier we were least bothered about sharing data. I think that mindset will definitely change. People will first think about, hey, look, there's a law now. Let's just first hold on and then share the data. Otherwise, I think there was no change, because that's where the things start changing in the entire area. I think whether from company perspective, I would say it won't be enabler, it won't be disabler at all, because since this regime has come now, people will be more focused towards data. Now, today I have no visibility of my data, where it is lying, whether which data is a structured or unstructured database is having a privacy data, I have no idea. I think in the few months coming on, I would have clear visibility of my data. I have been working years and years to get visibility of my devices. This year would be visibility of the data, because you have to have the visibility of the data, and then of course once you know it, and of course the unlawful part will come into picture, that how are you going to protect that data itself. So I think it's very important to lay down your visibility factor, that yes, being security professionals or heads, they should know now focus on data. I think that is something that is going to come very soon in the few years to come.
And I ask Mohit about PETs, right? I think बहुत सालों से हम ये discussion कर रहे हैं, and we're talking about enhancing tech, visibility. Yes. Now moving on to technology. Yes. And some advancements in technology, right? Mm-hmm. Have you seen some practical things being implemented across the industry from a PET per se? Like, what's your thought, Mohit, on that?
All quantum computing, encryptions, homographic encryptions, all those will work as PETs, and we have to pseudonymize data and anonymize data, the instructions that were put in GDPR. But these technologies will help us do that better and do it faster as well, how we protect individuals' information. And when it comes to, a product in the industry. Not sure if I can take a product's name on the podcast or not, but the
We can.
Google's privacy sandbox, I think, is a very good example.
I think the best example is Google Maps.google.com
Yeah.
to Google.com/maps. Have you seen
Yeah.
that change?
Yes.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Because they just got the consent one go.
Yeah.
I was like, this is a privacy. This is dark
Absolutely.
pattern.
Yeah, and that's where people like us need to educate individuals as well. How, at what level they are providing consent. Again, going back, whenever I sit in these conversations, I go back to days where people are not aware and they just give away their data. India is a classic example. You go to petrol pump, there are people asking for name and number, and they can contact you. They'll give you a free holiday or something like that.
My mom has told everything about me to her friend. I can't imagine.
Yes, absolutely. From there to where we are today, people like us don't want to share data, right? And we want to hold that back.
I think you want to start at relatives.
Yeah.
Just for fun.
Yes, and they're not sharing our data. So yes, coming back to your question, those technologies will help us stop, things like these happening. Whenever we talk about digital information, at least physical information we can't, but yeah, digital information, things like these will help us protect consumer rights, people who we work with, people who we work for.
So implementing new technologies and making sure that we have anonymity, we have more pseudonymization, will overall build an organization to be more safer and more lawful for the people, right? That's where we are here.
Yes, and that will build trust from stakeholders, shareholders, to invest in companies as well. They are at the right path. Again, I am a very big, sorry to cut you, I'm a very big advocate of privacy as an enabler. So, going again in that direction, creating that trust, not just with your consumer, but with your shareholders as well, that you're on the right path.
Well, I think the way privacy has been perceived in India as compared to others, I think consent is the most important. I think that's the beauty of this law, which is very unique as compared to I've seen
No
GDPR.
means a no, right?
Exactly. I think that would be a more focused area. I think the most important aspect of this entire privacy regime is the consent, especially from the Indian context, because that's the starting point of your whom to give, what to give, how my data gets processed, right? So next step, yes, of course, technology enablement and privacy enhancing techniques, privacy by design. I think these all would definitely be part and parcel of my entire architecture, because as of now, security itself has not taken that rule that the developers need to design the software basis on these two areas, security or privacy. So I think that will enhance this overall approach.
I also feel, sir, as you mentioned about technology, India being ahead in technology,
Absolutely.
just after US,
Yes.
we also have a significant advantage to implement privacy faster.
Exactly.
And then the products that we build, the changes that we bring
Yeah.
here can go to the globe. Because if you compare the human rights, in India we have, in US we don't have a human right of privacy. There are
Correct.
laws, but they don't go back to the rights in their constitution. In our
It's
that's-
not a fundamental right.
yeah, so in our constitution we have a fundamental right, and I think that's how we need to do something different, and we need to go out to the world and say, hey, we have 1.4 billion people and we manage this. So how do you do this is something that I think, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
But looking forward to beautiful products and beautiful way of building. Because in India we always innovate.
Yes.
Jugaad, and
Yeah.
and then incentivization.
Automation will play a major role in this because it would require that kind of capabilities in order to manage your entire privacy life cycle. Because there are too many parts that we need to join together, and practically not possible to actually do it manually by few people. I think that will play a major role towards success and failure of the entire privacy framework that we envisage this year.
Moving on and thinking a bit about from a perspective now of the consumer. We are also consumers.
Yeah.
We are in the industry. We are trying to implement. We are trying to educate. But we as consumers, when we look at the policies, the procedures, or when we are saying yes to a consent. So Mohit, what do you think that can make or give a company, or have seen recently an example where privacy gave somebody an advantage, and they went ahead and built a bigger business compared to others?
Absolutely, and transparency is one of the biggest things, right? And again, it comes on consumer trust. Why would you trust an organization? So you need to be as transparent as possible. And again, coming back to India, there is some bit of education that needs to be done around privacy. We are still at a very naive stage until unless people those are in that industry. So we need to educate, and we hold that torch, right? We need to educate. Coming back to the second point, an organization that got a competitive advantage, I think, is Apple. The ads that they have done around privacy, and anything that you do on your phone remains on your phone. And there was one entire advertisement line of theirs that was purely focused on privacy and no product feature that they had. So, again, Apple is a trusted brand in the industry.
For privacy.
For privacy now.
Exactly.
Yes, absolutely. So, how companies will, copy might be a very easy word to say, but build that trust with consumers. They bring in similar things in line, or they build something else. As you said, that we are innovators, we will innovate something better and bring it to the industry.
Yeah, and I think it's amazing to talk to you folks. In our short version of Privacy Cast, I think you're also coming towards the end today. But as we promised our listeners that we will now talk about the most important thing for them is, what's your journey, sir? Let's start with Dr. Yusuf Hashmi. What's your journey while you have spent 20 odd years and are sitting at a position, right, which shows, we at our youth, we also want to get there. So what are these things that we should do? What are these things we should not do? If you can tell us a bit about it. Yeah. How do we become CISOs, sir? Rather, let me ask you.
Yes, I have been born security guy, to be honest, and way back in 2004, after spending around 5 years of initial in infrastructure space, where I was being given responsibility to manage a SOC. During that period, SOC was not known at all. Okay, what is SOC? You usually know NOCs and all. So that was my first starting as a SOC analyst, and then later on become a manager. So I've seen security. I've written scripts in Python later on, and then those were PowerShell scripts, Unix scripts. That was the only thing which was available. No advanced technologies, right? So that's why I started journey towards security, and then I was very interested in creating things. So I always enjoy creating things, creating framework, creating methodologies, approaches. I think that really helps to understand the business as part, because unless you don't understand the process, the reason why you are doing it, is very difficult for you to actually, being a techie, to make inroads. So I think that really helped me to grow in that area, and of course being part of organizations which have a tremendous amount of exposure to the global environment. I think that is something, it really helps to understand different domains and industries, how do they operate, how the IT and security environment actually works. I think multiple geographies.
So knowledge, geographical knowledge.
Yeah, so certification was my passion. So I think I've been part of AI Saga for the last 15 years. So I take a target at least one certification per year, because that is very important to understand.
So how many do you have now?
I have 11.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Is that a promise you made yourself 11 years back?
Yes, the journey started in 2010. So I think, it's my passion to be gaining knowledge and sharing knowledge. So I keep on adding articles, writing many frameworks and all. Practical scenarios. I think that's what I try to create, something which is just not an article which people will take leverage from.
Something to learn from, like a more pragmatic.
Practical. So whatever experience I have gained over a period of years, that's my passion to contribute back to the community, because I have been volunteering for ISACA for more than 15 years now. So that's the passion which I have developed over a period, to give back to the community, which is your responsibility.
Contribution in the club. So Mohit,
Yeah.
Now I'll move on to Mohit now. Mohit, as we, and even me, right, when I look at your profile and specifically in privacy and with a depth, and working across the globe, solving complex problems, right, in privacy, because privacy gets very complicated after a point in time. And how do you see that somebody can learn these things? Somebody can learn these things fast, and somebody should not repeat some mistakes that you have done, or somebody should follow these certifications, or somebody should follow a course. How do they do this, Mohit? How does somebody, though it's a sample of one,
Yes.
but still, how do we do it, Mohit?
So I think it is more about learning, and Dr. Yusuf correctly mentioned, everything started with SOC, and every 5 years there is a new trend. It was SOC, it was third-party risk, it went into information security, cyber security, privacy, now AI and risk management. So you should not leave that zeal of learning. You should always be ready to adapt. Technologies will change, things will happen, and that's the beauty of our industry that we are in, right? Every time there is something
Keeps
new.
you awake.
Absolutely keeps you
Keeps
awake.
you reading.
Yeah. So
You have to.
as much as you can learn, consume, and read as well. Reading is very important. Without reading a subject.
Are there some things that you follow to read, like a blog, or if you can suggest us something like a portal or some news that we should follow? How should we do that, Mohit?
So I think from a reading perspective, I read books around privacy. There are good publishers. My first privacy book was by Dr. Anna Kornikova. So
Okay.
that is where I started my privacy journey
You
from.
will keep that in mind. Put that book link in this podcast.
I have not been paid for that, but yes, absolutely. But yes, she is godmother, you can say, in privacy by design,
Okay.
and from there my journey started, and how technology can help privacy. Everybody was about securing data. From securing data to the data that we have collected, how we use that data is where we are today. And now putting all that data back into AI so that it can give us better result, how we help that, or how we shape that future is something that we should look forward to.
And thank you, Dr. Yusuf. Thank you, Mr. Mohit Paleti. I think it was a pleasure having you to Privacy Us, and thank you to our audience to listen to us. Thank you, and we're looking forward to the next episode, and we'll come back with even better episode next time. And thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.